Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. I'm getting pretty concerned right now near the Ashburn area, moving toward Tipton. We got some very strong winds showing up on radar, 60 to 70 miles per hour occurring right now. So folks really need to take this seriously right now. In this area, we're talking about Worth County under this warning. Several counties, I'll go ahead and read off all of them to you. Central Cook, Irwin, Berrien, Southern Turner, Northern Colquitt, Tipp, Ben Hill, and Worth counties until 7:45 under a severe thunderstorm warning. We're talking about severe storms located along a line extending from 8 miles northeast of Fitzgerald to 6 miles east of the Marine Corps Logistics Base, moving east at 35 miles an hour. We're talking about 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts involved with this. Tipton, Nashville, Ocella, Fitzgerald, Sylvester, Moultrie, Ashburn, Adel, Sparks, Enigma, Omega, Norman Park, Lenox, Poland, Durham, Tai, Alafaya, as well as Phillipsburg, Mystic, and Unionville under this warning. 60 to 70 mile an hour winds moving in. You can really see it. I have some enhanced velocity colors on this product, something I haven't been showing you with these enhanced colors. It's easier to pick out where the strongest wind is now. And you can really see some brighter colors occurring right around I-75. So people shouldn't be driving right now between Ashburn and Shula on I-75s. We're talking about the potential for 60 to 70 mile per hour winds occurring in this area. And this is diving down to the east-southeast, I would say. They're saying it's moving east, but as you back it up here on the radar, you can kind of see there is a southerly movement as well. So a dangerous situation in southern Georgia right now. We have some information coming in here. Again, this is the polygon we're talking about here, extending all the way down now to the south. And we got warnings issued by the Jacksonville office to the east as well. In terms of that warning, I'll go ahead and read off exactly what is happening there from the National Weather Service in Jacksonville. They're continuing a severe thunderstorm warning. That's for Atkinson, Bacon, Coffee, Jeff Davis, and Ware County. And that does go here for the next little bit. We're talking about precisely 7 o'clock. And the latest update on this is coming in from the National Weather Service, indicating the potential for some very dangerous wind gusts in this area right now. We're talking about severe thunderstorms located along a line extending from Glenwood to near Tai, moving east at 40 miles an hour. Radar indicated winds moving into areas like Douglas, Hazelhurst, Pearson, Willacoochee, as well as Broxton, Ambrose, Nichols, Pridgeon, West Green, and Snipesville. So a nasty situation evolving here in southern Georgia. Just want to give you the latest information here this evening. Protect you and your family with it. That's what you want to do. Just let you know exactly what is happening. We'll go ahead and put the Doppler radar back on here. And yeah, that's what we've been looking at here over the last little bit. I said, next I'll go ahead and go over to our base velocity mode and be able to get maybe a better vantage point of exactly some of these winds once again. Again, near I-75, some of the communities like Sycamore, Irwinville getting in the action here. And this has been moving on to areas like Tipton over the next little bit. So Tipton, this is your heads up. You need to be in shelter right now. Treat this almost like a tornado situation because these winds are really showing up strongly on radar. Moody Air Force Base looks to be the closest radar to these winds. It's not extremely close to the ground level, so this is looking up just a little bit, but we have numerous warnings. Things really getting going in southern Georgia now. So I want you to go ahead and take the situation seriously. Severe thunderstorm warnings remaining in effect. Got another severe thunderstorm warning off toward the west. This is not quite as big of a concern as we switch over to the regular reflectivity that you're used to seeing. But we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for this area as well. So communities impacted by this, we do have some different counties involved here in parts of southwest Georgia. Looking at the latest information coming in from the National Weather Service in Tallahassee. They just sent out an update on this warning. We're talking about some communities that are involved with this here. This warning does go for the next little bit. Actually, just till 6:30, so another 3 minutes, but is for part of southeastern Clay County. Is actually what we're talking about. Northwestern Baker, western Calhoun, and northern Early counties. A severe thunderstorm was located near Blakely, moving to the east at 50 miles an hour. And again, these do have a southerly movement to them as well. So that's something to keep in mind as you're tracking these Looking at some rotation, we're not seeing too much right now, so that's good. But as I kind of put the loop on here and move it to the end, we are seeing some pretty gusty winds, 52 miles an hour, showing up here on the radar right now in this pocket. I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit tighter. This is near Arlington there. Nasty conditions. See if there's any debris showing up here or maybe a hail signature. Not seeing anything like that right now, so that's good news. Not too much of one, maybe a little bit of a hail signature. There is penny-sized hail possible. There was a little bit of a hail signature, but no tornadic debris signature. Nothing like that right now, so that's good news. But do want areas like Fort Gaines, Morgan, Blakely, Edison, Arlington, Douglasville, Belleville, Bluffton, Harrison's Mill, Ivy's Mill, Parksville, Zito, as well as Commissary Hill, Terman, Farrell Crossroads, Early County Airport, Dickey, and Rowena to keep an eye on this. We just got a new warning actually. So I'll zoom back out, see what this is talking about here. National Weather Service issuing a warning now to 7:30. This is for Baker as well as Calhoun, Dougherty, and early Mitchell counties as well being impacted by this evening. To be precise, we're talking about southern Dougherty, northeastern Mitchell, Baker, southern Calhoun, and early counties until 7:30. A 628 Doppler radar indicated a line of severe thunderstorms capable of producing damage and winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. These were located along a line extended from near Blakely to 9 miles east of Leary, moving east at 30 miles an hour. So parts of Albany is under this warning. Parts of Albany under this warning right now, as well as Newton, Blakely, Putney, Arlington, Baconton, Columbia, Leary, Douglasville, Centerville, Sale City, Damascus, Ivy's Mill, Flint, Parksville, Holt, Rock Hill, Leicester, the Early County Airport, and Williamsburg. So I'll continue to monitor things and see exactly what evolves. We have a tornado vortex signature showing up north of Tipton. It has been showing up over the last little bit. In terms of rotation, we're not seeing a whole bunch, just a lot of really strong winds right now. Dangerous winds. We're talking about 60 to 70 miles an hour winds moving toward Ocilla. It looks like maybe more toward Ocilla over the last couple frames here. Kind of back things up, move things forward. Tipton will get this too. Some of these winds 50 to 60, but it looks like Irwinville to Ocilla are going to get the brunt of this now. But Tipton, you're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. This is going to be dangerous. A dangerous situation for you guys. Tipton, Irwin County, especially even up into Ben Hill County around Fitzgerald as well. So going to monitor things and have updates here in the Weather Center as conditions warrant. Stay tuned, everybody. I'll keep you safe. Meteorologist Casey Cloud back with you here in the Weather Center, going ahead and giving you another update on the severe warnings that are in effect right now. Seeing some damage reports starting to roll in fact, in some of the areas that have just seen these storms move through. We did see some reports earlier in parts of southwest Georgia as well, but now it's some of the most recent storms and some of the most recent areas to be affected. We are getting reports in, a report coming in out of Irwin County, in fact, of a tree down between Ocella and Tipton near Highway 319. This was at about 6:33. Also a report up in toward Turner County, a tree down on Cannon Road is coming in at 6:23, 3 miles to the east of Hobby. So nasty situation. We're going to get more reports in, no doubt. These winds have been very strong on the Doppler radar. I'll go back to base velocity mode and kind of review exactly what has been happening here. And we're still seeing some pretty gusty winds, maybe not quite as concentrated or strong as they were, but we're getting closer to the radar site. So we're looking closer to the ground level. So maybe they're not really weakening that much at all. We're just seeing a better vantage point of them. But you can see some 60-mile-an-hour winds right now just to the north of Willacoochee right now. And these storms moving more toward the southeast now, it looks like, based on some of the latest trends here. So you can kind of see it, maybe a little east-southeast still. The Weather Service is now calling it southeast out of Jacksonville, but east, southeast, southeast, you get the idea. Excellent. Some of this imagery, it does look more east, southeast still as what we were tracking earlier, but Weather Service Jacksonville, seeing southeast, kind of in between that. You get the idea that they're moving closer toward areas off toward the east and the south. So a dangerous evening indeed here. We're tracking areas like Douglas. You're going to be getting some pretty nasty weather shortly. So Pearson, you're under this warning as well. This warning here goes for the next little bit. I'll go ahead and give you some of the details on this. In fact, we're talking about that warning there for the Atkinson and Coffee counties. So we're talking the National Weather Service Jacksonville jurisdiction. And this warning does remain in effect here until 7:45 this evening. It covers several counties in the region. You can kind of see that there is a big area that is taken up by the warnings that are in play right now. So 7:45, Coffee, North Central Eccles, Atkinson, Northwestern Ware, Bacon, Northwestern Clint, Applin, and Jeff Davis counties here in South Georgia. Severe thunderstorms located along a line extending from Alston to 6 miles south of Enigma, moving to the southeast at 45 miles per hour. So we're talking about some areas here as I zoom out just a little bit so you get a little bit better vantage point. Communities like Douglas, Baxley, Hazelhurst, Alma, Homerville, Pearson, Willacoochee, as well as Broxton, Ambrose as well included in this warning gram too. So a nasty situation here this evening in southern Georgia. Make sure you're in that interior room and on the lowest floor of your building. You want to make sure you get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, as these are actually producing maybe a little bit more in the way of some nasty conditions than what you would see with normal severe storms, more organized severe weather. That's why there's a severe thunderstorm watch that's remain in effect for areas in this region that's currently being affected and in the southeast, but we're mainly concerned about for the future until 10 o'clock this evening. A severe thunderstorm watch remaining in effect. Going to check some of the power outage information here, see exactly what is going on with that right now. PowerOutage.us is a good source. That's where I'm getting my information from for the power outage data coming in out of South Georgia. 20,987 out in the state right now. And in our region, we're talking Randolph County, about 461 customers currently out. Getting some other counties, Atkinson, not too many there. Off to the north, Ben Hill, 178 customers out of power. So nothing too extensive right now, but reports still streaming in. Going to see exactly what happens. Again, 20,987 in the state. The greatest concentration right now of outages looks to be here to the north in central Georgia. They had some really nasty conditions there up toward communities and counties like Jones there near Macon. Just checking some of this here behind the scenes. So right in there Macon, getting into some of the action for sure. About 4,000 out of power there, according to PowerOutage.us. That's the source there, a great site to check out information on. But again, we still have severe thunderstorm warnings remaining in effect. I'll stick with this for another few minutes before I go off and then come back here probably about 30 minutes or so, depending on how the conditions do warrant. About 7:30, I'll probably be back, but give you another update here. Then stick with it for now, though, as we do have some nasty conditions still. And you can see here, these are actually maybe, actually, okay, we're behind. I apologize there. Let's go to the current imagery here. Active situation. So want to make sure we have the current imagery up, as we still have some conditions that are severe moving off toward the east-southeast per se. 45 miles an hour is the speed on this right now. So for the next little bit, Pearson, Nichols, Beach, Douglas, you're starting to get into some of it now. Maybe not as high the concentration of wind. You're not at maybe the apex of this, so that's good news. But a nasty situation per se here in the Douglas area right now. So I can see if there's any hail with this. Go over to our derived mode of the Doppler radar. Yeah, there is some hail. It looks like here you can kind of see a signature lining up with this here to the southeast of Bushnell here in Georgia. To the Bushnell, Florida, Bushnell, Georgia. We're talking about in Georgia here, just to the northwest of Douglas and Coffee County, and just to the southeast of Ambrose. So signature showing up here pretty small overall, maybe a ½ inch in diameter. That's not what the warning's for. The warning and the concern is for damaging wind gusts. That's what you need to be concerned about. That's what you need to be taking precautions from. And it wouldn't be a bad idea if you're living off to some of these areas off to the southeast here in Georgia. We're talking about areas here like Pierce, Ware, Brantley, Camden, Glen, further into those counties. If you're not under a warning already, I know part of Ware is already under a warning, but if you're not under a warning right now and you have time, I would go ahead and make sure you move that lawn furniture in or secure it. Do something to that effect. You want to go ahead and take some type of precaution if you can. Just try to do what you can do to make sure everything is tied down, or just so it doesn't blow around. You don't want to have flying debris in your yard. Kind of almost treat this like a tropical storm type situation, not a hurricane situation. Not expecting expensive widespread power outages, but treat it as if a quick tropical storm is moving through per se. This is not a hurricane, and this is nothing like Irma. This is not even as big of a threat as we had back a couple months ago when we had all that damage across the area. Of course, that furniture store in southeast Georgia is significantly damaged. This is not that severe, not that significant, but it's not that far off from being close for Georgia residents to that. But it's not a hurricane situation. I want to emphasize that, but these are more damaging winds than what you normally see this time of year. This is not a typical summertime setup. This is more in the way of some damaging wind gusts that are more organized, more of a winter type squall line with a lesser tornado threat. Tornado threat is very low, not a zero, but it is very low with this setup. So that's good news. I see we do have a report now in Jeff Davis County with a gust of 44 miles an hour at 6:55. So I'll go over to base velocity mode here. I want to see exactly how this aligned here to see how good our base velocity mode may be doing with this. This is right near Hazelhurst. So I'll back this up here. So 6:55 is where we're looking. So 22:24, 15:29 I see in here, 26, 29. So base velocity mode here, a pretty good job. Go to storm relative. You're doing a pretty good job, maybe a little bit low, but again, we are kind of far from the radar site, so that's something to take into account. But we have numerous warnings that remain in effect here. I have the map up. I'll be back here with another update about 7:30 or so. Of course, if conditions warn, like a tornado warning pops up, of course, I'll be on immediately. Be updating my Twitter account as well with the current information that's coming in from the National Weather Service and other sources as well. Do have the severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect here for parts of Early, Baker, Mitchell, Dougherty, Calhoun counties as well here, just south of the Morgan area being impacted. Leary really moving out of Calhoun to Putney's still getting pretty nasty conditions right now. They go over to base velocity mode. We're on the edge, but we actually have some pretty high winds right now. Again, if you're just joining me, didn't watch my update here about 6:30, we do have a new tool per se in terms of the color table now. I have it where we can kind of pick out areas of higher wind a little bit easier than we could before. So that's some good news in terms of being able to see exactly where the worst damage potential is here on the air with you. So right now, quite a bit of white showing up, 60-mile-an-hour winds showing up. This is why it's warned, folks. We're seeing it on the radar site, on the radar imagery right now coming from the Valdosta site here. Actually, I may switch over. Let me switch over to EOX real quick here. because we are almost closer into this area. Maybe we'll get a better reading. It's showing 60, but let's see what Fort Rutgers showing because we might get a better vantage point at some of these storms here. At 54, 52, 60, so we're still getting on both. So definitely some damaging winds moving into the Bridgeboro area right now here in South Georgia, Worth County, getting into the action right now. Areas to the east there, 50-mile-an-hour winds. See how it does align with the radar reflectivity? It definitely aligns there good, right on the edge. Not a good situation though. Tipton getting in on the action. I'll go back to Valdosta radar for that because that's a little bit closer there. I-75 Tipton to the VAX radar. Pretty nasty winds around Ty. We're getting 47, 53, 54, 58 here. Again, Bridgeboro, Royston up high right now, and that's moving toward Doran. Moultrie here over the next little bit. Maybe, again, we're kind of tracking these off. Maybe we're to the east, southeast. So maybe Norman Park, even an Omega, kind of getting the action. It's a little hard to track these because of the way this line is moving. I'm going to do something behind the scenes. You won't be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm going to be able to track this a little bit better with some of my tool software. Or actually, no, wait a minute. I can do something here. Let me pull this up. That helps quite a bit for everybody at home. Get a track of what the radar at least is showing, these storms moving, putting some of our indicators on here to show you exactly what we're talking about with some of this. So yeah, Omega over the next little bit. Some of that concentration of winds here moving in. Bridgeboro, Roy getting it now. Moving in tight, 61.5 miles an hour according to the radar right now. And this is at 5,000 or so feet, but it's probably a good indication of some of the winds that are reaching the ground. We're probably getting much of this to reach the ground. So a nasty situation here right now in South Georgia. Zooming out, it's pretty crazy, honestly. We have all the way from Early County, just near Blakely, severe warnings going all the way up into South Carolina, all the way to Berkeley County, South Carolina, past the St. George area, past Somerville. A lot of severe storms that'll be moving here over the next little bit off to the east southeast. So a nasty evening for Georgia does continue. A thunderstorm watch, severe thunderstorm watch in effect till 10 p.m. this evening. Tipton getting some pretty nasty conditions. I-75, the winds concentration isn't terrible around there, but El Dorado over the next few minutes going to have some pretty nasty winds coming in there. Again, this is now right near Doran. You do see 64-mile-an-hour winds showing up here right north of Doran. Tracking for Raycross. Maybe some small hail moving in over the next little bit. We'll go over our correlation coefficient. Maybe we can in on that a little bit, but nasty conditions. I'm going to check some other products to see where hail might be occurring. This right here actually says upscale growth. This is a good tool here. Not necessarily for hail, but for storm intensification. Our ZDR. It's something I don't normally show you, but it is definitely good for this. And some of the strongest indications right now of intensification right near Ty. So if we have any rotation, not too much right now in the way of that. Base velocity, though, does show some really strong winds here. Just to the south of Ty right now. And just right over that Bridgeboro area that I've been emphasizing. If you hear your community called, and I'm talking about these gusty winds, this is dangerous. You want to take this seriously, almost like a tornado situation. But again, this is not a hurricane type setup. These are going to move into a pretty quick tropical storm force gust. Really is what we're talking about over much of South Georgia this evening. A quick moving tropical storm system. Tropical system, not a hurricane, but a tropical storm type situation evolving right now in terms of just a brief situation where we're having those gusts. Not a long-term thing, not 12 hours, not 6 hours, not 3, not even an hour, maybe about 30 minutes, give or take, depending on exactly where you are here. So, again, going to continue to monitor things here in the Weather Center. Severe warnings do continue. I'll be back about 7:30 with another update. It's 7:30 meteorologist Casey Cloud back with you here with another severe weather update. Continuing to monitor things here in South Georgia. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue to remain in effect here for the next little bit. One I want to touch on first here, getting some of the latest updates on that one is for Coffee, North Central Eccles, Atkinson, Northwestern Ware, Bacon, Northwestern Clint, Applin, and Southeastern Jeff Davis counties. So 7:45 at 7:19, we're talking about severe thunderstorms located along the line extending from near Baxley to Lakeland, moving southeast at 45 miles an hour. Communities involved in this warning include Douglas, Baxley, Alma, Homerville, Pearson, Willacoochee, Graham, Surrency, Plant Hatch, and Nichols. Weather Service saying this is a dangerous situation and these storms are producing widespread wind damage, so make sure you seek shelter inside a sturdy building and stay away from windows. So again, a nasty situation this evening for sure. Let's check some of the information here behind the scenes, getting in here exactly what is happening. Still have these warnings continuing to remain in effect right now. Again, getting some damage reports in here in the Willacoochee area. I should say. Or Willacoochee, I'm sorry, Willacoochee. Some different areas we're talking about here, Willacoochee. We're talking about some damage reports coming into this area here, also near Broxton. There was a tree reported down there, but in Willacoochee, trees and power lines reported down. So these storms are causing damage, and that's one reason I really want to make sure I provide as many updates as possible here this evening, as these are damaging storms that you really need to keep in mind. You need to take seriously right now. Omega really getting into the action. Enigma, Tifton is well even on the edge of some of the stronger winds, but really Omega over the next little bit. Nasty conditions moving in. Severe thunderstorm warnings remain in effect. What I'm going to do right now, I'll go ahead and just put it back on the radar as we continue to track things. I want to point out, though, before I go off, another severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect right now here for the next little bit. That is that one near Tifton. The details on that from the National Weather Service in Tallahassee are that it does continue here until 7:45 for portions of Berrien, Colquitt, Cook, Tipton, Worth counties. Tree reported down on a highway there in Irwin County from these storms a little while ago. That also just coming in from the National Weather Service. Hadn't showed up on our map quite yet, but that was at 6:30 on Highway 107 between Lands Crossing and Prospect Church Road. Well, these storms are producing Waycross. We need to have a heads up on these. Going ahead and giving it to you right now. Homerville as well. Be safe. I'll be back here at 8 o'clock with another update on the storms as they move across South Georgia. Stay tuned, everybody. It's 8 o'clock. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here with another weather update, giving you the latest information this evening on these severe storms continuing to move across South Georgia. We have numerous warnings still in effect here at this hour. You can see all the polygons, 3 up in the South Georgia area, some more up towards Savannah, which technically is part of South Georgia, but not in the viewing area per se. You do see, though, the latest warning I'll go ahead and touch on that was just issued includes the Colquitt area in Miller County. We do see that there is a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for that area. It goes for the next little bit here. It's by the National Weather Service in Tallahassee. This is for Baker, Decatur, Early, Miller, Mitchell, and Seminole counties until 8:45 this evening. The latest update here coming in from the National Weather Service does show exactly what this warning is about. And it is for the potential 60-mile-an-hour winds with the severe thunderstorm located 8 miles west of Colquitt, moving southeast at 35 miles an hour. Communities included under this warning include, but are not limited to, Colquitt, Donaldsonville, Centerville, Iron City, Damascus, Princeton, as well as communities like Babcock, Little Hope, Mayhaw, Decatur County Airport, Boynton, Riverton, Donaldsonville Airport, Branchville, and Bellevue. So, severe thunderstorm warning there. As I transition off toward the east, we have another severe thunderstorm warning, including the Moultrie area. Moultrie, as well as Adel, under this warning. It is also based by the National Weather Service in Tallahassee. That is part of their jurisdiction area. And this warning goes till 9 o'clock this evening. The potential is there for some high winds of that 60-mile-an-hour variety again there in that region. We're talking about Cook, Berrien, Northern Lowndes, Southeastern Mitchell, Lanier, Northern Thomas, Northern Brooks, and Colquitt counties. Severe thunderstorms located along a line extending from Pelham to near Alafaya, moving southeast at 35 miles an hour. Included in this warning are Nashville, Moultrie, Adel, Valdosta, Lakeland, Pelham, Camilla, Kahira, Sparks, Ray City, Norman Park, Lenox, Ocklawaha, as well as Coolidge, the Moody Air Force Base, Riverside, Sealy, and Morven. So, severe thunderstorm warning here. I'll examine some of the winds right now, not just see the base reflectivity, but also see the base velocity. And you'll be able to see not quite as bright a colors as we were tracking earlier, but still they're pretty well defined here south of Moultrie. You can see some whiter colors showing up right about 60 miles an hour, so still severe, even based on the radar right now, just to the northeast of Coolidge. And you can kind of see where this is tracking off toward maybe the Barney area over the next little bit. And eventually I-75, another area of concentrated wind near Nashville. Talking about 50-mile-an-hour winds, right? That severe criteria that transition back over to a base reflectivity mode. You'll be able to see exactly how things align right with the rainfall, maybe just out ahead of it a little bit here, but not by much. So right there, it does align well with the reflectivity. And then a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the Waycross area as well. That includes Ware County and some other counties in that region till 8:30 this evening. Jacksonville office issuing this. We're talking about the potential for some damaging winds moving through there. The latest update from the National Weather Service just came out at 7:59, in fact, for the potential of some pretty high winds in this area. Talking about some gusty conditions moving through the Waycross area. So just giving you a heads up that you need to be inside and away from windows. If you're in the Waycross area right now, just want to be weather aware this evening. In that community, 7:59, severe thunderstorms located along a line extending from near Odom to near Homerville, moving southeast at 45 miles an hour. I'll brighten the picture here so you get a better vantage point of exactly what is going on here. We're seeing Waycross, Jessup, Blackshear, Homerville, Patterson, Argyle, Gardy, Screven, Odom, and Offerman in this warning. Going over base velocity mode, you'll be able to see and examine exactly in terms of the winds. And maybe, let's see here, I'll go ahead and, as I hear our alarm going off here, I'll turn that off. That means we have a new warning coming in. I'll go ahead and turn that off. So let's see exactly what we're talking about with that here. Might pop up on the screen here in just a second, but I'll go ahead and look in the chat section to see what is being talked about. Okay, I think what they just did is expanded the severe thunderstorm watch for the coastal waters. Yeah, that's what they did. Expanded the severe thunderstorm watch for the coastal waters, canceled Coffee and Jeff Davis, but now Altamaha Sound to Fernandina, 20 nautical miles, Nassau, Appleton, Atkinson, Bacon, Brantley, Camden, Charlton, Clint, Eccles, Glen, Pierce, Ware, Wayne, and just those communities involved in that until 10 o'clock tonight. Going to be watching this potential with the warnings moving through, but now let's focus back on what we were talking about a moment ago. Areas just to the north of Waycross look like getting pretty high winds. I'll go ahead and click on some other information here. See exactly what is going on here, and this is that warning right here. See what radar is closest. And it is saying a Moody radar is closest here, at least to much of this warning. So that's what we'll stick with Pierce County right now. Patterson, you're getting some pretty high winds. 45 miles an hour, maybe even 50 down just to the northeast of Blackshear right now. That looks like where the highest concentration of wind is in this. And it's been moving off toward Glenn County, Brantley County over the next little bit. Even in the Wayne County too. Wayne already under a warning. Haven't already getting in this, but that's getting further out of the viewing area. So I want to focus more on the counties that are in the viewing area. We are seeing Brantley and Glenn over the next little bit getting into this action. Going to examine something else. I want to see how this outflow has been. Yeah, you can see this outflow. This sometimes indicates some weakening. So that might be a sign that these storms are starting to weaken some, but we still have warnings. These storms have a history of producing damage. You can't let your guard down by any stretch of the imagination. And I'll go back to base velocity to see the latest scans coming in. Right, this is south of Nashville. Really getting a 60-mile-an-hour concentration. This is south of Moultrie. This is moving toward Berlin. A high over next little bit. This here might be moving closer toward Homerville as well here, and that concentration in Berry and Cook County, moving to Clint. So I'll continue to monitor things in the Weather Center and have updates here as conditions warrant. I'll plan on coming back at 8:30 for another update, but for now, I'm meteorologist Casey Clyde in the Weather Center. I'll be back earlier if conditions warrant. Back with you here in the Weather Center. It's 8:30. Looking at the current radar, we do still have severe thunderstorm warnings that are affect across portions of South Georgia. No longer the entire line warned. That's some good news. We have been seeing some weakening trends here on Doppler radar, but still we have warnings in effect, and you got to take them seriously, as we've have had some power outages being reported here across the Peach State this evening, afternoon as well, further up to the north around Macon. And warnings again do continue here. I'll go ahead and start off with the one we just got an update on here, and we're talking about the warning that is areas around 8L. So let's go ahead and zoom into that area right now. We'll be able to see exactly what this storm is indicating here on the Doppler radar. The thunderstorms at 8:28 were located along a line extending from Pavo to near Cogdale, moving east at 40. Getting a weather alert in here, so I'll go ahead and turn that off real quick, as we do have some information coming in here into the Weather Center right now. That's out of the Jacksonville office, so let's see what they are saying now. A new warning did just get issued, and that is actually, it looks like just a marine warning, so that's good news, and there's nothing over land right now we're talking about. So real quick, if you just heard that siren go off, it's for this area right here, marine warning from the Brunswick to St. Mary's coastal waters. But now back to the severe thunderstorm warning. What we're concerned about overland. Severe thunderstorm warning remaining in effect for this area here over the next little bit around 8L and Lakeland. It says include portions of Lanier County as well as Berrien. Cook, you're also in this severe thunderstorm warning as well. Portions of Lowndes Brooks too. So nasty evening involved in this region. I'll switch it over to base velocity mode here on the Doppler radar, and you'll be able to see exactly what is happening right now with some of these winds. And we are seeing a weakening trend becoming clearer now. Only 50-mile-an-hour winds showing up here on the Doppler radar around Cecil. No longer seeing those gusts about 60 like that were well defined earlier. But still, hey, high over 50-mile-an-hour winds may be moving your direction, and these could still strengthen back up. And I just noticed it in the chat room, they did just cancel the severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for areas around Brantley, Camden, Charlton, Pearson, Ware counties. They're no longer under a severe thunderstorm warning, so that's good news. The wind has died down some in that area. There is a noticeable weakening trend now, so that's good news. Here in southeast Georgia, going over to Jacksonville radar site, we're going to see the winds here near Hickox, as well as in Hunter. We're only seeing winds of 40 to 45, so definitely now starting to see some weakening occur with these storms. That's good news, but these storms have been holding together for a long time. Could still get, some gusty winds right near the Florida border with these. 75 again, higher 43-mile-an-hour winds, 50 near Cecil, Barney. Just trying to look at some of this. This looks like the most impressive storm, but it's a little harder to see this storm out toward Miller. So let me go ahead and examine that real quick here on the air with everybody before I say that for certain. Going over to the Fort Rutger radar, and we're going to see the winds here. Talking about 39 miles an hour, so just about tropical storm force right now in this area. 40 miles an hour in eastern Miller County, trying to get some of these higher wind pockets sampled here. 43.6 maybe. Of course, it's further up into the storm, so these may not be reaching the ground exactly like what's been shown on radar, but you still get the idea of what is occurring here this evening, as these storms generally move off to the east-southeast. Again, looking from the Fort Rutger radar, I'll switch back over to the Valdosta radar. So let me just go ahead and give you a recap of the two warnings we have in play right now. Severe thunderstorm warnings do continue for those two polygons you see on your screen right now. I'll get the latest information from the National Weather Service in Tallahassee on these, and just going ahead and clicking to see what is happening right now. The latest update on that warning for the areas around here, higher in 8L. We were kind of talking about this a moment ago before we had that warning, special marine warning come across on the weather radio. But severe thunderstorm area, a severe thunderstorm warning does include areas like Nashville, 8L, Lakeland, Valdosta, Hahira, Sparks, Ray City, Lenox, Pavo, Moody Air Force Base, as well as Morven, Barwick, Cecil, Barrett, and Glory. So severe thunderstorm warning remaining in effect for this area over the next little bit. We're not seeing as much of a widespread wind signature either, so this is turning more maybe And we see more of this time of year, more random pockets of higher wind that you need to take note of. And we haven't had as many damage reports coming in either. So definitely a good weakening trend now. This is pretty much in line with the severe thunderstorm watch that goes to 10 o'clock tonight and the Storm Prediction Center outlook, which cuts off the slight risk right about this area. So nothing really overachieving or underachieving. It doesn't seem like at this point in portions of South Georgia, but still we'll watch things to make sure things don't ramp back up or stay the same. And big prompt warnings as we get closer into Florida. This event isn't over yet, as we have had a history of some damage reports coming in here. And again, just the latest scans, 53.7 miles an hour here, maybe showing up on the radar near higher up. And some of the wind reports, in terms of some of those wind reports, we do see a lot of gusts have only been at 40 mile an hour range, 44 at the Moultrie Nisqually Airport. That was at 7:55 this evening. See exactly, I kind of did this earlier, but I'll spat the radar up here to 7:55 if we can. You'll be able to see. Yeah, this pocket of wind was actually showing 57, so that's kind of interesting. Let's go right forward here, zoom in really tight. This kind of helps me gauge, and yeah, this is showing 59, so actually, unless we had a report higher than this, and I don't see anything on the wire that suggests that, the radar's now overestimating some. These winds aren't reaching the surface maybe as much as we're thinking, so I would expect some of these warnings maybe to start going away here at their expiration times, as we're now talking about marginally severe storms, not as serious a situation we saw earlier. We're getting damage reports coming in. These storms are no doubt weakening. That is good news, but you can't lay your guard down quite yet. You can see even some of those white colors that were showing up earlier aren't showing up now, and that was even with those storms not even producing the winds that the colors were indicating. So we may be, as this is getting closer to the radar recovery time, only 40 to 50 mile an hour winds right now again, or an I-75. But still, weather service warning for 60. You want to not let your guard down. These can still intensify. Looking back at this area here in Miller County as well as Mitchell County, you see 40 mile an hour winds or so. This will be moving over toward the Pelham area for the next little bit. Now let's recap some of these reports we had. Had another report in Wayne County, gust of 44. A report there. Backing things up here. This is all the way at 7 o'clock. We had a lot more wind reports coming in at that point. You see, we had at Baker County at 7 o'clock, trouble trees reported down in the area by the 911 center. We had a tree down, and I switched this over. Let's switch this back to regular reflectivity just so you kind of have a better vantage point. This is earlier. It's not live. This is what we were seeing earlier with this activity. A report of a tree down on Canyon Road there in Turner County, damage in the Fitzgerald area, and close there in the Irwin area. Tree down on Highway 107 between Lands Crossing and Prospect Church Road. And looks like some more reports just filtering in, so I'll review those in a moment. A tree reported down near the Broxton area, but it looks like quite a few reports coming in Worth County, close to that. Tree down close to Warp Turner Road. That's the report we just reviewed. A tree down there on Highway 313 in Worth County. So it's been a damaging evening. These storms are finally weakening us. That's good news. We're really showing signs of weakening now. I'm going to look at some of the power outage information before I send you back just to what we've been showing. The Doppler radar check, the latest information here from poweroutage.us. That's the source here. Quite a few power outages in South Central Georgia this evening, it appears. South Georgia, but especially kind of not far west, not far east, but kind of in the middle of South Georgia. Getting quite a few reports in here, so I'll go ahead and review some of those for everybody at home. Baker County, 424 customers without power. Mitchell County, 135 customers. Worth County, 687. Moving over to the east now, we see Tipp County, 622. That, of course, includes Tipton. Moving in toward Irwin County, 868 customers. Coffee County, 1,691. Atkinson, 431. Bacon, 482. Jeff Davis, 1,444. And in toward portions of it looks like Atkinson County, quite a few, or no, Applin County, I'm sorry, 6,975 without power there. That's the highest one right now there. Applin County, Wayne, 714. Brantley, 233. So Appleton County. I'm gonna go ahead and click on that just to see what we're doing with, and it looks like the Satilla Power Company there, the Satilla REMC. So Satilla REMC, 6,090 without power in terms of customers there. Georgia Power, they're only showing 885, but 63.44% of customers without power in that county. So continue to monitor things here in the Weather Center, and I'll be back at 9 o'clock. If information does require me to come back on earlier, I will do this data. Then switch back over to Disaster Radar as we see that warning there for those storms off in the Ward Early County is now expired. So we're down just to 1 severe thunderstorm warning. I'll see you back here at 9 o'clock. Just after 9 o'clock, meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center with a severe weather update. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that does remain here in effect until 9:30 for portions of Brantley, Charlton, Clinton, and Ware counties. This is a severe thunderstorm warning that we're talking about here with the potential for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts moving through this area over the next little bit. Just getting some of the latest data here behind the scenes, letting you know exactly what communities are under this warning. We're seeing areas like Argyle, Stephen Foster State Park, Race Pond, and Manor. Some more rural area for the moment, though. If this holds together, Folkestone, Hilliard, Callahan, St. Mary's over the next little bit. We'll be getting in on the action here. Pretty high winds showing up here. Not as high as what the Jackson Ritter is showing, though, as we are pretty close to the Valdosta site here with this storm. We're seeing gusts more in the order of 30 to 40, but what I think prompted this warning is the Jackson Radar a little bit further away up. We're seeing winds further up into the atmosphere per se. They did see some pretty high winds. They just wanted to be on the safe side and issue a warning here, as we are seeing gusts about 60 in this mode. And looking from the Jacksonville radar side itself, these gusts moving further along here across the region. So just want to be on the safe side this evening. If this area of wind does hold together here, that they are tracking. You move here across portions of Ware, Charlton County, maybe over toward the Hilliard area over the next little bit. So, and Folkestone too. So, somewhere in that area, it's kind of hard to get an exact track on these storms because the direction isn't quite east or south. It's in between. But monitoring things in the weather center. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect, and the severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect for much of South Georgia until 10 o'clock. I'll continue to see how that does evolve here over the next little bit. Probably not going to get this extended, I wouldn't think, at the present time, but you never know. Anything can happen here. It's something to monitor for sure, which I'll be doing here. They did just update the watch that goes to 10 and continue it, canceled out. Appleton, Bacon, Pearson, Wayne is the severe threat has passed that area. And in the Tallahassee office, they updated the watch by canceling Clay, Tift, and Worth counties in Georgia. But we've had quite a few damage reports this evening. It's been a nasty evening of storms. Something that is definitely worth noting here this evening. I did notice the Storm Prediction Center, and I don't recall this being issued earlier today. They did say they were maintaining this. I'm not exactly sure. There's some confusion on this, so I might have to double check to see if I missed something. But Storm Prediction Center did say they are maintaining an enhanced risk over South Georgia, and they posted a graphic of that recently, and I did not ever see an upgrade to an enhanced risk, so I'm a little surprised by that. I was just looking at that before I came on here. That's why it took me just a second past 9. I wanted to see if I could find details on that, and I haven't been able to. But that's kind of interesting that there's now an enhanced risk over Southeast Georgia. I did not believe that was in play earlier, but that's quite unusual for portions of the area. The last time there was an enhanced risk for parts of the area was that day, not too far in the past, where we had that damage to that Badcock furniture store in Southeast Georgia. A lot of trees blown down across the area. It's a significant day. So areas like Valdosta, Savannah, Thomasville under this enhanced risk for severe storms. Though these storms are winding down quickly, and a lot of that's already past those areas. So kind of interesting there in terms of just a note of Storm Prediction Center outlooks. That's something for me to look into, and I'll maybe try to bring you more on that at 9:30. Not a big deal in terms of the public's impact by any means at this point, but just something interesting to note here from the Storm Prediction Center standpoint of things. So again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning remaining in effect here for portions of Brantley, Charlton, Clinton, Ware counties until 9:30 this evening. Gusty winds moving through here. Going to continue to watch. So a little bit higher now, but again, we're getting further from the radar site. Also get indications of hail. See if we have any type of signature of that. I'll go first upscale growth. This may not really. So hail precipitate. So rain intensification might be occurring, and we're still seeing some of that here on the northern edge of things in Ware County, southern Ware County. At least it's part of Ware County that is south of Waycross. Of course, it bends down to the border, but you get the idea. Let's see here. We're going to go over at our hydrometeor classification. We are seeing some indications of some hail here, so might still be some with this. Something to take note of. Maybe something right there, actually. Just got to scan. That's where the upscale growth is. Or maybe so. That derived mode might run just behind. So there might be a little bit of hail there. Something to take note of for sure. See if this warning gets extended into some of our Florida zones over the next little bit. Haven't had any warnings for severe weather in the Florida zones today, so that's good news. I did have that thunderstorm watch that it does include NASA on the overall forecast by Storm Prediction Center. It's going along pretty nicely in terms of a threat for severe storms occurring in South Georgia and just clipping the northern Florida counties with any organized concern with that thunderstorm watch continuing for about another hour. I'll be back at 9:30 unless conditions require me to come on earlier. Something like a tornado warning would do that, but I'm not expecting anything in that order, anything like that at the present time. But right now, just plan on me being back here at 9:30. It's 9:30. Meteorologist Casey Cloud back with you here in the Weather Center with a severe weather update. A new warning that's being issued by the National Weather Service in Jacksonville. This includes more highly populated areas now like Folkestone and Woodbine. We're talking about quite a few counties here: northwestern Nassau, southwestern Camden, south central Brantley, southeastern Ware and Charlton counties until 10:15 this evening. At 9:27, severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending from near Race Pond to 7 miles southeast of Stephen Foster State Park, moving to the southeast at 35 miles an hour. 60-mile-an-hour winds are the hazard here. We're talking about communities like Hilliard, Folkestone, Woodbine, Stephen Foster State Park, Homeland, Kings Ferry, St. George, Race Pond, Winnaker, and Tarboro. So you want to go ahead and move that interior room and away from windows if at all possible, especially if you're concerned about maybe a tree falling on your house and mobile homes. You got to be really careful. Really aren't the best places for you to be in severe thunderstorms. So this is a tornadic situation, so you don't have to necessarily evacuate. But again, these aren't the best places for you. But you just want to keep an eye on the situation and make sure no tornado warnings are issued or the wind threat doesn't go up on this. But these storms will be in the southeast at 35 miles an hour in this area. Gonna go ahead and pull up our base velocity mode now. You're able to see 54.8 mile an hour winds right now showing up here. 54.8 on this area as well. Moving toward Folkestone and Hilliard over the next little bit. So this is your heads up in Folkestone and Hilliard. Woodbine kind of on the edge of this. I did mention you in Kingsland. You're also right on the edge of this warning, but really Folkestone and Hilliard looks like be getting the brunt of these winds right now in this area. So just kind of giving you a heads up on that. So again, just monitoring things here in the Weather Center, checking to see if we have any hail signatures right now. And hail really isn't even mentioned as a primary hazard with this. That's good. But still got to monitor to see if there's any maybe hail occurring now. Let's go over to our ZDR. We'll see if there's any upscale growth with this, maybe any intensification. And the intensification right now would be right here. It is to the north of Folkestone and Homeland, southwest of Winnaker. Maybe an area of intensification occurring right here as it moves near Folkestone right now. So again, we are following this severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect until 10:15. Northwestern Nassau, southwestern Camden, south central Brantley, southeastern Ware and Charlton counties. So strong thunderstorm in the Fargo area right now. Going to see if the Weather Service in Tallahassee has a significant weather advisory out on this or not. I'll go ahead and check the session here, the chat session, and we'll be able to see if there is a significant weather advisory. And there was one for Lowndes and Lanier until 9:30. Don't see anything here of note at the present time. That's good news. Don't see anything right now. There is one for Early County though. So let's go off toward the west some more here, quite a bit west. Go to the Dothan radar site. This sometimes indicates maybe a storm is right on the edge of becoming severe, right on the edge of having been severe, I should say. So Blakely area here. Early County, nasty conditions. See if there's any rotation. There's not necessarily rotation. I did see some wind in that area. And it's kind of interesting seeing a higher signature here on storm relative versus the base, but it just depends on how you're looking at this stuff sometimes. So maybe some gusty winds there in Early County. Going back to Jacksonville radar site again. The only warning right now we have on the board is the one for the Folkestone area. And I'll wrap things up and I'm back here at 10 o'clock. But before I do so, the Weather Service in Tallahassee did just send out some storm reports. So let me go ahead and see exactly what is happening in terms of those. See exactly what did occur. They're saying there were 18 storm reports in their jurisdiction. So I'm going to read off all those to you. Just before I send you back to the radar cycle and let you just kind of look at that here throughout the evening hours. Let's see here. I need to change the time frame a little. It says no reports found. I think it must have defaulted to something just a little bit different here than what it needs to be on. So let me change some of these settings real quick here and to be able to get the storm reports to load up for everybody at home. I'll be able to read them off to you and tell you everything that's occurred today in the region. Let me change this time frame just a little bit here. trying to see exactly what these different storm reports are. We've kind of gone over some of them today, but I just want to be able to go over all of them here with everybody, let you know exactly what has transpired across the region, what has transpired across our area, across the Tallahassee jurisdiction. I'll go ahead and load everything up here. It's taking just a little bit longer than I would like it to, so bear with me here. Here we go. Got them to pop up on my maps now. Behind the scenes. So the first report here looks like around 4:30, 4:43. Trees down at Highway 82 and Moore Station Road in Randolph County. That was in the Peterson Hill area. Another report from Randolph County at 4:55. Trees down along Benevolence Highway. 6:15 in Worth County. Tree down on Highway 313. 6:20 in Calhoun County. 2 trees down near Bluffton Road. Turner County. 6:23. Tree down on Cannon Road. 6:25 Terrell, or Worth County, I should say. That was the last one was in Turner County. This one in Worth County, 1 mile west of the town of Terrell. Tree down at Isabella Terrell Road, close to the Worth Turner Road. Report from Worth County, part of a tree blocking half of the southbound lane on Highway 82 West. I'll zoom out the map here. Well, you're looking at it because I know you can't see these. I just want to let me see all these areas just so you know where I'm talking about. If you see the county in relation. So the reports I've already talked about are in Randolph, Worth, Calhoun, Turner, and we're in Worth County. The next report here, 6:30 is near Sylvester. If I didn't mention this one, I'll repeat it. But part of a tree blocking half of the southbound lane on Highway 82 West there, 1 mile west-southwest of Sylvester. Also around 6:30, a tree down on Highway 107 between Lands Crossing and Prospect Church Road. That was from Irwin County. In Early County, several trees were down. 6:33, another report coming in from Irwin County. These were some dangerous storms, no doubt. A tree down between Ocilla and Tifton near Highway 319. 6:55, Worth County. Tree down on McGirt Street in Poland. 7 o'clock, several trees down in Baker County, it looks like, in Georgia, that is, Tift County. We had a tree down across the line on Whitten Road, Mill Road, 720 Mitchell County. Tree down near Stagecoach Road, 735. There was a report of a 46-mile-an-hour wind gust at the Tift Airport there in Tift County. 44-mile-an-hour wind gust at the Moultrie Airport, 46 at Tifton, 44 at Moultrie. In Berrien County at 7:58, a few trees were down near Highway 125 just northwest of Nashville. And the last report on the sheet here at 8 o'clock was from Early County. Several trees were down there. So a busy evening of reports. Nasty evening, some stuff winding down, but we still have that warning to track here in parts of Charlton, Camden, as well as Brantley. Even in Clifton, it looks like parts of Ware County as well. I'll pop this back up here on my system. Again, that warning does continue to remain in effect till 10:15. We're talking about portions of Nassau, Brantley, Camden, Charlton, and Ware County. So I'll continue to monitor things and back here at 10 o'clock. Of course, if there's any tornado warnings or anything like that, I'll be back on sooner. But otherwise, see you at 10. Meteorologist Casey Cloud back with you here for the final update. More than likely here this evening as I'm going to go ahead and wrap up coverage now. Severe thunderstorm watch has been allowed to expire by the National Weather Service as of 10 o'clock this evening. So that's good news. Severe thunderstorm watch no longer in effect here for our South Georgia counties that we're still under, nor Nassau County, as conditions are starting to wind down now across the region. That expiring, of course, here at the 10 o'clock benchmark. Nassau, Atkinson, Brantley, Camden, Charlton, Clint, Eccles, Glenn, and Ware cleared from this, as well as the coastal waters. Still can't roll out. Maybe an isolated warning quickly develop and with one of these storms, but the threat really does look to be falling off. And Tallahassee expired. Coffee, Dale, Geneva, Henry, Houston, and Alabama. Holmes, Jackson, in Florida. Baker, Berrien, Brooks, Colquitt, Cook, Decatur, Early, Grady, Lanier, Lowndes, Miller, Mitchell, Seminole, and Thomas. All the remaining counties no longer under the severe thunderstorm watch in the Tallahassee, North, Jacksonville jurisdiction areas. The storm's running down. The severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for this area that moving to Folkestone got canceled early by the National Weather Service in Jacksonville as the winds really started to fall apart on this pretty quickly here. You can see as I back things up just a little bit. We did have some higher wind values, but as this got closer to the radar side, it became more clear that maybe these weren't even reaching the ground anyway. As we were looking aloft, and they decided to drop the warning, which was definitely a good call by them. So we do still have some strong thunderstorms moving in Nassau, Camden County, but continuing to weaken. Thunderstorm here just to the east of Fargo as well, and one south and west of Staytonville, really close to Staytonville, really. Moving over to the Valdosta radar, you're able to get a better vantage point of things here. Not too big of a deal with that area near Lake Park. It's a little bit stronger near Colquitt and Blakely, Early, and Miller counties. A little bit of hail even being indicated here. It's probably the strongest storm right now in the region. And I can't really see the hail on that product, but if I go to vertically integrated liquid, we're going to see that there is a little bit of hail here to the west of Damascus, but nothing too severe, nothing too serious right now. So that's good news. Throughout winding down across the region, seeing some winds on one mode of radar about 45 miles an hour. The other mode, not as well defined. Just kind of depends on the angle maybe you're looking at from the radar site. Again, there's a bit that winding down now, so I'm going to wrap up the coverage. Severe thunderstorm watch no longer in effect. No severe thunderstorm warnings in effect either. Do have some marine warnings for the coastal waters. Recent gust, it looks like about 40 there or so in McIntosh County. Marine thunderstorm, I guess 35 knots at Cepelo Island. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the coverage now. I'm going to turn off the radar stream. Thanks so much for trusting me through another severe weather event here, as we did have quite a bit of damage further up in the South Georgia here with an organized threat for severe weather. Thanks so much for tuning in this evening. Have a good night, everybody.